Now after the wise men had left, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, "Get up, take the child and his mother, and flee to Egypt, and remain there until I tell you. For Herod is about to search for the child to destroy him." Then Joseph got up, took the child and his mother by night, and went to Egypt, and remained there until the death of Herod. This was to fulfill what had been spoken to the Lord through the prophet, "Out of Egypt I have called my son." When Herod saw that he had been tricked by the wise men, he was infuriated, and he sent and killed all the children in and around Bethlehem, who were 2 years old or under, according to the time that he had learned from the wise men. Then was fulfilled what had been spoken through the prophet Jeremiah. A voice was heard in Ramah, wailing and loud lamentation, Rachel weeping for her children. She refused to be consoled, because they are no more. When Herod died, an angel of the Lord suddenly appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt and said, "Get up, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who are seeking the child's life are dead." Then Joseph got up, took the child and his mother, and went to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was ruling over Judea in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there. And after being warned in a dream, he went away to the district of Galilee. There he made his home in a town called Nazareth, so that what had been spoken through the prophets may be fulfilled. He will be called a Nazarene. The Gospel of the Lord. Please be seated. And let us pray. Good Lord, as we begin this new year, open our ears and our hearts afresh, that we may once again anew receive the good news of your Son into our lives. And so may the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in your sight. Amen. The gospel story of Jesus Christ commences as a grand adventure. At his birth, shepherds come to praise and worship, angels sing in heavenly chorus, and wise men traveling from afar come bearing gifts intended for royalty. Mary and Joseph are notified that Jesus' young life is in danger of the jealous King Herod and are urged to flee to Egypt, a sometime place of Israel's captivity. Even after Herod's death, Joseph is warned in a dream not to return to Bethlehem, where the new and even more vengeful King Archelaus is ruling, but instead to the peaceful north, where they settle and make their home in a rural town called Nazareth. These first steps of Jesus in the world are a grand drama. Film producers would drool over an epic pursuit of this kind with flight and wonder, homage, promise, royalty. And God, through these hair-raising circumstances, is beginning to work things out for good and for the salvation of all peoples. We too, a little more calmly, a little more staidly, are with the changing of the calendars and the resetting of clocks, beginning something new. This day is the start of a new year, ripe for adventures of our own. And just as Mary and Joseph, we too have been charged with custodianship, with the bearing of this Christ with us. And we too have been sent to show God forth into the world around us. This day marks a new beginning in that journey, one in which we partake. Jesus is born, as the story goes, in a dangerous world. He has opponents not just in his public teaching and in his healing, but even in his very infantship. He is threatened as the darker powers of thirsts of power over this world seek to extinguish this precious light. And it seems that the world and those who have something to jealously defend may ever seek to snuff out the goodness and the truth of that light. But Jesus gets through. With the protection of God and by God's guidance, his life is preserved, and they find a way through the danger. God is with them in their situation. And by trusting in that provision and protection, by listening and following the voice, they wend their way through the present dangers and years of waiting into a safe land. Fortunately, our world here today in Orland is comparatively tame by comparison. We need not fear when going to Save More to get Pringles and Cheez-Its and other essentials, or to the post office to send our many Christmas cards, that we will have any danger of persecution on account of our faith. Most people in this area are very good people and will return one's expressions of faith with at worst indifference. It's quite different from the violent conflict that Christ endured in his time. And yet even in this world, in this safe world, we too are drawn by God's guidance. And we too may at times find ourselves standing with Christ against a latent bulwark of resistance, preventing holy change after Christ's own teachings. We too, even now, need direction and encouragement, even into this relatively comfortable of worlds. Soon, Jesus' parents settle in Nazareth, and they raise their family together in this small town of Galilee, north of Judah and far from the centers of power in Jerusalem. Nothing is said about Jesus' young life in Nazareth, save the exceptional instance of his getting lost, of staying behind in the temple. Presumably, and all we have is conjecture and experience to draw from, but presumably, he grew up helping his father in his work of carpentry, offering construction services and woodwares for the citizens of that area. Presumably, as first son, he grew up helping his younger brothers and sisters grow up too. And presuming that Joseph passed away early, Jesus likely looked over the responsibilities of the household in his absence. Jesus, growing up in the town of Nazareth, helping in the mundane ways of working, negotiating with clients, helping raise the family, of keeping up the chores, feeding the animals, was nonetheless year by year doing important work in his preparation for his later ministry. As it's often in the small things, in the simple day-to-day habits that profound lessons are learned and grooved into our lives. In this time of gestation for Christ, he could nonetheless see a glimpse of all the world around him. Climbing a tall hill nearby in the land of Nazareth and looking around, he could see over the rolling hills the Mediterranean Sea glistening on the horizon, where he could behold cargo ships coasting from all the ends of the earth, ferrying wares to harbor. Too, he could see in the plains, winding along the seaside, a great road, one of the greatest of highways known as the Sea Road. This road, running right by Jesus' Hill, became one of the most important passages of history, connecting the northern Roman Empire with Egypt and all North Africa. A road bearing the many great caravans of the world, the road by which Joseph had been sent down into slavery in Egypt. The road that Alexander the Great had crossed and Napoleon had trod. Great caravans and traders of all kinds would be carrying spices, materials, fabrics, and incense, and ideas, and languages, and hopes and dreams, up and down that great road. We, too, are of a quiet and simple town in Orland, tending our many and various tasks, forming each of us day by day into who we are, And yet, as we here in this quiet northern valley of California, we too have the world at our fingertips. Through televisions each evening, we stream news and videos of great personages and momentous events transported around the globe here into our living rooms. With our cell phones, we may talk with people on any subject from any corner of the earth and can investigate anything that raises our interest. Living here along the I-5 corridor, we witness enormous amounts of cargo and passengers from Seattle to San Diego and beyond. Though in a small, neighborly town, we, from where we are, behold the vast expanses of the world moving around us. And like Jesus, we are called to make a difference here. Though seemingly simple and modest, our daily actions are what God takes interest in. Our habits, our ways of interacting, our choices do accumulate to great differences in our lives and reverberate powerfully back into the world around us. As one example, we at First Lutheran, through our denomination, are widely involved with a program called Lutheran Services in America. It sounds simple enough. Yet through this program, 6 million people receive service of some kind each year. 1 out of 50 Americans are touched. And at $21 billion, is by far the largest charitable organization in America by revenue. Who would have thought? Also consider the Foster Family Night. It is a simple dinner with training for parents and games for children, yet it is groundbreaking collaboration between church and county, a pioneering way of meeting need, and which has caught some interest of other foster programs in the state. Or consider our potential joining of free Lutheran churches, an act that appears simple enough on the surface, yet is bridging huge boundaries and bringing Lutherans of different denominations together. One that may yet be pioneering steps to unite believers back into one faith. And I'm personally interested in this coming year to wider outreach with people of this area and beyond, starting with the new signs you see adorning the front door and accumulating, ultimately I hope, in streaming our worship services abroad, that people, no matter where they are, whether at home in their living rooms, from the comfort of their kitchen, or even on the road, may hear some good news wherever they may be found. We are here beginning a new year, and we imagine in Jesus' early life a model to good beginnings, starting in doing the simple things right, cultivating good habits that form positive character, contributing wherever we find ourselves and wherever we are in life, and trusting deeply that God is with us and for us, and interested profoundly in what we do to advance His love in the world around. We start today, 2017, our own adventure, the beginning of a new saga. And trusting in God, like Mary and Joseph, in care of Christ, we reach out, we follow, we trust, and we cultivate what we can to make a difference here in Orland, that ever increasingly, step by step, around the greater world, we bring God's goodness and love. And in this new year, all God's people said,